What's up, guys? We have a bonus episode for U.S. Open week in honor of the defending U.S. Open champ of last year. We have the guys that make his putter, the director of operations, Marc Cerio, with us today. We are going to get super nerdy about Sik putters and just the golf game in general. I think this could get real cool. Marc, thank you for coming on. Pleasure to have you on. Take some time out of your day. How the hell are you? Welcome to the Lefties Lounge.
Doing great, man. Really excited to be here. It's pretty exciting around Sik Golf right now. Obviously, we are going crazy, and we're just enjoying the ride. So, this is what we do. We sit around, talk putters and putting and golf all day long. So
it seems like a pretty good gig.
This is just part of it getting recorded. That's all, man. So I love this. So I'm really glad to be here with you guys.
That's awesome. So let's start with an easy one. Have you always been involved with golf, and what brought you to becoming the director of operations of Sik?
Yeah, no. So no, I was not always involved in golf. I did a lot of other sports. When I was about 35, I was in Maryland driving in. I lived in DC, right outside DC. Went to college in DC, and so I was driving in 2 hours down to work every day. I lived 17 miles out of the city. I was dying in the traffic out there. One day I came home, I said, enough is enough. I sold my house, dropped everything, and went to a PGA program in Florida. So I already had a college degree. I'd been in business for about, probably about, by that time, almost 20 years. And I said, you know what, enough is enough. And I kind of just said, whatever, let's do it. I'm not the only guy that's kind of dropped everything to do it, but I definitely did that.
That's pretty awesome, though.
Yeah. And so I got into, I did a PGM program, and then I got hired by the PGM program, and then worked on the education side, and then worked at an academy and did some instruction, some business development. And we brought in this guy, Stephen Harrison, who was known for putting. And these guys came in. I quickly became friends with them. It was Steve Harrison, who's the president. He's the CEO and founder of Sik Golf. Yeah. His brother was our tour rep, and one of their buddies they grew up with, that is our director of communications now. And so we became friends, and then they were traveling up and forth from Tallahassee. I had a house. They started staying a few days during the week, and then boom, they all moved in. And before you knew it, the academy moved. These guys asked me to stay on. We turned the garage into a like a little mini production facility.
Damn.
We said, you know what, let's do this right out of here. And that's we were at Orange County National, which was, a good spot in terms of the PGA show was there. And, we had some good local support. People would come by, and then we would just crank putters out of the garage, man. It's pretty intense.
That is a pretty wild story.
Yeah.
Man. I like that a lot. It gives me hope. I'm 33 now, so I got two more years. Let the kids grow up a little bit, and then I'm going down to Florida.
I knew that's what you were thinking.
I was doing, everybody knows I'm a mathematician, so I'm like, I'm 33, he's 35. Okay, so a couple of years.
Yeah.
That's pretty wild.
What year was that? What year did like in the garage?
It was 2013.
Oh wow, okay.
Or 11, so probably 11, 13. I joined Sik Golf around end of 15, beginning, and then January 16 was kind of official. And there were four of us, and so when we sat down, we're like, okay, what's everyone going to do? And obviously, Steve is, in my opinion, and I think other people too, I think he's the best putting coach in the world. I mean, if you can take bad people and make them good putters, that's what you should be able to do. But you can take great putters and make them better. To me, that really kind of distinguishes the coaches at the top.
Yeah,
and he takes great players and makes them some of the top putters in the world. I mean, there's just no doubt about it. So, we had that part. And I kind of brought, I didn't have much of a golf pedigree. I like to play. I'm terrible. I'm a lot better now. All of us, we're just going around hacking it around. One day is a 78, the next day is a 98. So
God, you're speaking our language.
yeah, exactly. That's all of us. But so we kind of started to, kind of try to form the kind of how Sik Golf was going to be and how it moved forward. And Sik Golf was around since I think Steve kind of launched the company in 2011. They had some good success. They had some players get on. I think I think Ryan Moore was rolling it for a little while.
Okay.
Big Duval rolled it for a little while. Sandy Lyle rolled it. I think he still does. And then, things I can't get into here, the company kind of went, they had some issues. Steve came out victorious, as he should have. And so there was kind of the relaunch in 2015. We knew the putter worked. We tested it up, down, left, and right, or he had. We knew it wasn't a gimmick. We just needed to figure out on, 4 guys on a limited budget, on how we were going to produce it, get it out there. And, big thing was educating the consumer in terms of why our putter is better, right? It's not just the care we take. It's not just the milling. It's not just we build them all by hand. It's not just we hand paint them and we have great pride in what we're doing. It's that, the technology works.
And you're kind of talking, it kind of leads us right into the descending loft technology is what you're talking about, right?
Absolutely.
And is that kind of the problem that you had? Did you have to get like patents for this? Like,
right. So that was part of the problem. So Steve had gotten it. Honestly, that's Steve's story to tell.
Yeah.
But
maybe we can get him on one day.
Maybe he can one day.
Beautiful.
All I can say is Steve is the patent owner. He's the
awesome.
He's the guy. So he
good.
Yeah, that's why. So what was the problem that he was looking at? I can tell you, Steve used to own a golf store, and he used to have these putting competitions in there. And all the guys would go at night. He'd do it once a week. They get pizza, beer, and just putt all night for to see who's the best.
Yeah.
Cash.
Yeah, we'll say it for you.
Yeah.
Nuggets.
And one day he likes to say his putter walked off because he never likes to accuse people of stealing that he doesn't know. But he says, my putter walked out. And he loved it, whatever it was. I think it was a bulge and roll kind of technology and he just couldn't find another putter. And so, he kind of was presented with this problem of finding something that bulge and roll. And what we know about bulge and roll is great if you hit it right on the equator, a little above, a little below, and you're kind of, the putter loses its efficacy at that point, right? You get some funky rolls if you don't hit it perfect.
Right.
So from there, he started to do his research, started to develop, started to get into some things, and boom, out came DLT, got it patented. And I think while it was patent pending, we sent it off to a guy that did specifically ball roll testing on putters. Okay. He's pretty well known in the industry.
And this was like the Quint Tech
Well, the Quintic ball roll is Paul Huron at UK. So we use that to validate a lot of what we're doing. But this was even more, this is like send it to a lab and they do.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So he sent it, and the guy that did the testing, it was a Friday night. Steve was about to go out, and boom, 10 o'clock at night, the guy called him because he just couldn't wait. Tell him, yes, do this. This is the finest rolling putter that we've ever seen come through here. Wow. And that would be interesting. That would be an interesting story, interesting and pretty cool in like 1978, where you'd be like, wow, but you're talking about tech, there's technology around, and you're getting some guys that have been through and seen it and have tested it. And now you have someone saying, this is the best rolling putter we have ever tested. So that's a big impetus that just kind of so at that point, Steve was raring to go.
Did he still go out that night?
No, he said they were on the phone for hours.
That's awesome though. Damn. So why don't you explain for the people that don't know? I kind of explained it when I received my beautiful putter, what DLT is, but what's the science behind it?
Sure. So the problem is addresses, and what we see a lot in ball roll is the inability of a player to return their shaft from address back to impact. Okay. So what does that mean to the face, and how does that impact the roll of the ball? Well, if you can keep a consistent dynamic launch, which is what we're trying to get at the face, which is every time you strike it, you're getting the same launch angle, as close to the same launch angle as you can. Okay. So what happens is that most players can't do that. They come through, they press and close down the face a little bit. They come through, they open it a little bit. I think even a tour player we measured can do it maybe 1 out of 6 times. They return it from address back to impact. And then if you throw some tense on there on the degree of the angle of the launch, now it's like, you're talking about, it's very, very difficult.
Right.
So what does that do? Well, dynamic launch, if you come through in your face, you close down a little bit, which means you're de-lofting the club. Okay. You're taking loft away, and it tends to hit the ball into the ground, tends to impart overspin on the ball. Okay. So what DLT does is there's 4 planar surfaces, and each surface has a descending loft on it. So 4 degrees, 3, 2, and 1. So if you tend to press at impact, it interacts higher on the face, and we add loft back for you. If you add loft to the club, okay, it interacts lower on the face, and we take loft away. So you get a consistent dynamic launch at impact, or at least as consistent as we can, given all the variables that go into putting. So the second order effect of what everyone on the market is always talking about, the quickest distance to true roll. Well, that's like the second effect of what it does. It like just automatically happens. We're like, okay, well, look at that. Like we virtually eliminate backspin, right? Which is huge. A lot of putters on the market, flat face putters, like 99% of the population out there, they're going to throw backspin on that thing.
Which I didn't even know was a thing. Like I didn't know you could get backspin on a ball. Like, and like all the amateurs like us, like we don't think about this until you get it in your hands, and it's like
it changes.
It's life changing.
That's honestly. Right. You can think about when you're out there with some of the other more well-known brands out there. You can hear it when you putt it, right? You hear that skipping sound.
Yeah.
You hear, you go on the early morning dew, right? And you hit it. You see that.
You see it.
You can see it. It's like skipping rocks. Yeah.
Right. For a long time. It's not like a few feet. It's like, Yeah. And then you put our putter in your hands, and it rolls. Like that's what our putter does. Is it rolls, and it rolls true. And what people find is that sometimes you even have to. You're so used to skipping your ball out to your apex that now you play a little more break, because it's actually rolling true.
Yeah.
And so it'll take the effects of gravity in the green more true than something that is not. It's something that's skipping, right? And it's not in contact with the ground. So
it's so wild. So I have a couple questions about the putter specifically. Yeah. These guys are rocking one of the more well-known brands. We don't have to name, but it rhymes with Toddy, Famrin. Yeah, those guys have those two. I've golfed with this for 3 rounds, and it's just like I said, for a guy that golfs, like takes golf as serious as we do and wants to get better.
Yeah,
it's life-changing, man.
Yeah, that's awesome.
I wanted to ask you, so like, it obviously, like, the roll has something to do with like your aim as well too, right? Because like if you don't hit the ball like you said, or like if you're hitting it low or high or whatever, that has an effect on where the ball is going, like at the hole as well too. Because I feel like I'm just even when I hit like a bad putt, it's still going close.
Yeah.
Like, and it's just incredible. So the one question I had though too is I went to a 32-inch putter.
Yeah.
So I would just choke up on my 34.
Yeah.
Does that make a difference too?
I mean, you know, a lot of people. All right, let me put these questions in order here. So the DLT, the biggest thing is distance control, right? You get a dynamic launch that it's directly associated with how far the ball's going to roll, right? So given the same thing, you give the same power, same wind, same grass, same everything, except for how you either de-loft it or add loft to it. Adding loft to it on a putt will make it come to 10-foot putt 3 feet short. De-lofting will make it roll 3 feet past, and hitting it perfect will put it in the hole. So when you can have a consistent launch angle, now your distance control is going to get better, especially on long putts, right?
Right.
Aiming the ball is, you know, there's a lot of stuff out there about aiming the ball. Different people see things differently. The reality of a putt is, and this is me, I'm sure, you know, you could get someone on here to refute what I'm saying, but the putt follows much the same as your actual stroke, right? There's a plane that you're swinging on. If you come inside the plane, you're gonna hook it. If you come over on top of it, you're gonna impart cut spin on it, right? So these spins, which are actually rifling spins, because the ball's also moving forward. You know, these spins are impacted by your path. Ball position is huge, right? And where your eye and your brain is perceiving that you're actually making contact with the ball. And so you can manipulate aim. I can manipulate your aim by moving the sight line, by adding sight lines. And people just think it's an aesthetic thing, but the reality is that if you tend to miss right with something that has a line on back, I can impact the way your brain perceives the impact of the ball with putting the line on top, and boom, all of a sudden now you're pulling the ball back to the hole. Wow. So there's different ways you can get into kind of you know, how people set up and how they stroke the ball. We're just looking at, we tend to work from the ball back, right? And if the ball's rolling good, we're not going to mess around with your setup too much, right? We're looking at if you can roll the ball, you can roll the ball. Right. But most people, when you come for a fitting, it turns into a lesson because conventional wisdom says play the ball off your left toe or you know, forward in your stance, let's say. Yeah. You know, we just, you know, given what we know in the you know, the thousands and thousands of putts that we've hit on the clinic, like, it's just not the best place to put the ball. Like,
that's so wild to, I mean, you can get deep on some putting, huh?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Man.
And we
what's the guys, we took some lessons and he hooked us up to the Sam putting. Have you heard of that?
I have.
Yeah, we tried that, and like I said, I was using the old spider putter, and I didn't have a sight line, so I think that was like a big issue too with my putting.
Yep.
But yeah, I just learned that I wasn't hitting the center of the club. So like once I started doing that, you know, they have the pure roll technology, which I think is, after using the Sik, I think is complete bullshit, because there's only one pure roll that I know of now. It's once I started hitting the center,
but you get great distance when you hit it offline. That's just I don't understand the concept of the other one. Like, it's like I don't know where I'm going, but I'm making good time kind of thing.
Right. Exactly.
It's a great analogy.
So funny.
So I think that was when Ronnie was talking about initially, I think it was like right after the first round, the first thing he said is what you guys were just talking about with the speed and how big of a difference like the speed makes.
Yeah.
As in reference to like the adding loft and de-loft, or and taking away loft, de-lofting it. Sure. Is there, because I'm just thinking about myself, and I definitely have like a little bit of that forward press. Do you see, does the data show better? Does it matter the adding or de-lofting the club? Like, is there a way that you guys say to do it?
Yeah, well, look, I can tell you this: a 0.56 press at the top opens the face by 1 degree. Okay, so 0.56 of an inch at the top. Now you watch people press; it's more than that.
Yeah.
Now, at 10 feet, okay, 0.56 open the degree by 1 face at impact. You're gonna miss the putt.
Yeah.
You might lip in.
Yeah.
At 10 feet and 5 inches, you're going to miss the putt. Okay. Right. So the impact of pressing is that it opens the face. It adds a variable to the putt. And it's like, it's hard enough, right? We always hear that, like, golf's hard enough. And then we start adding all these crazy things to it, like to feel comfortable. And I'm a big proponent of, if I feel comfortable, I'm probably not doing it right. That's
so true.
When I get up there, like on my full swing, and I'm like, oh yeah, and I'm really settling in there, and I feel good. I'm like, I'm backing off. I'm like, this is not right. You know what I mean? So,
that's hilarious.
The putting, the distance control is such a huge feature of what you do with putting, because you're not going to make everything, even though everybody wants to. It's like the goal is 2 putting, right?
Yeah.
Right. And you want to get a couple nice 10-footers in there. Your 5-footers should be automatic, and give yourself a shot at those 20-footers. And that's kind of how you make your scores and you plod through the course. And when you're 2 putting and you're going to do that, it takes a lot of pressure off that first putt, because you're kind of feeling the way the putter is, and by the time you use it a lot, I know you're going to get a consistent roll. And when you hit it, it's going to go where presumably where you want it to go.
Yeah. It's incredible. Cause like I've said, I've only putt with, I still don't have a name for this thing. I got to have a name for the putter, but, I've only done 3 rounds, and I've never felt more confident over any putt. Like, I've always been the guy, like, if I'm just on the fringe, I'll use my gap wedge or something and chip it up. But now I'm just grabbing that putter, and I am so confident that I'm going to get it in 2 putts. I hit a 65-footer in a scramble the other day. It was incredible. even lifted up the putter and walked it in. I mean, this thing is legit. But
the fringe putting, absolutely. I mean, if you got the right conditions to do it. I mean, I think Bryson off the fringe is probably one of the best in the world. Like, he drains putts. I can think of a few. And
yeah,
I actually can too. Now that you say that, yeah.
He and I remember at the API when he was chasing down what's his name there, little Irish guy.
Larry?
Rory McIlroy. That guy.
Rory.
Yeah.
I thought it was a trick question. I didn't know it was that guy.
Rory.
Yeah, we know Rory.
He had a putt on 17. He was right on the fringe, and Rory went on to birdie the 18th. It's kind of, if I think Bryson had birdied that, but he was on the fringe. And, man, I was like, he's gonna make this putt. And he came up like an inch short, but he does it so much from the fringe because the flat stick gives him the confidence that it's predictable,
Yeah.
So yeah, that's awesome. And then I wanted to come back. The 32 inch is like, people get into a swing. There's a lot, swing weight. They're like, oh, I want a deep 3.4 swing. Like, we just don't find. And again, who am I? I'm not. There's probably tons of people out there that'll tell you that I'm full of it, and swing weight is critical, and it's just not. Like, I'm sorry.
I mean, the science is behind it.
Yeah, that's the thing. Like nowadays, that's what we're realizing too. I think with the more that data comes out and that we start to study these things, it's it's just not true. Like, you could say, it's hard to commit to just saying that, but you're right. It's just not true.
You kind of have some Scott Fawcett vibes right now, because we're kind of getting into him, and he's just no, you're wrong. You should hit it here. And this, like you're saying, the science is just behind this shit.
It's obviously someone can come and they can make some crazy weight and put all the weight in the handle, and a little feather at the bottom. And is that going to have an impact? Yeah, probably. But I'm just talking about in general, when people are like, hey, I need it to be E8. Right. Why?
Yeah.
Well, that's because, that's my putter here. And someone told me that's the way I swing it the best. I'm like, I don't know what drives the misconceptions. Swing weight was obviously always, is big in regular clubs, but we just don't find that it has that much impact when it comes to the putting stroke. Also, the the idea that like one swing weight off is going to throw your putter game into. I mean, that's all just mental stuff. So
Yeah.
you know, you try. And our putters, the data shows heavier putters are better. So we make heavier putters.
Yeah.
I like it.
People call and they're like, "Oh, your putter's so heavy." We're like, "Yeah, that's good. That's
As it should be. Yeah.
Yeah, it's bad." Because light putters, most greens are running plus 10s. You get some guys, some guys playing their 12s and stuff, and you're fanning this light putter out there, taking these big old, it's just not. It just doesn't make sense. I mean, if you think about it logically, and a heavier putter just tends to roll the ball, gives you a more steady stroke, lets you use your bigger muscles to putt with instead of these little quick twitch ones.
And especially on like longer putts too, it's gotta help that way because you're just not doing as much. Like with a light putter, you really have to smack it, and you're really taking away feel, and you're taking away a lot of stuff.
Yeah. So again, it's just like the swing weight stuff. It just drives me mad. But.
All right. Well, let's Frank.